And Are You Okay is a not safe for work podcast, so any young listeners are discouraged from continuing. However, we literally have no way to track that, so do whatever the hell you want and enjoy the show.
We're back. I mean, we left enough.
Oh, okay. It's on. Oh, this is us coming from the future to tell you that we forgot to put a spoiler warning in at the beginning of the episode. So this is your spoiler warning sounder.
We recorded this at the end, but we're going to, in post, put this at the beginning. You're welcome. Spoiler alert. Don't listen to this part. If you haven't watched mad shit,
if you don't want to get spoiled on multiple different Star Wars animation projects, don't listen.
Most of which have happened at a minimum of at least 4 years ago. So what are you really doing with your life? So matter of fact, stop here, go watch the shit,
and then come back,
and then come back. We out.
Life gets in the way of us doing our thing. You know, we're only busting our asses over here.
What Jeff Goldblum say? Life finds a way.
Oh, it does find a way. It always finds a way.
Life always finds a way.
You know,
Ian was right.
Alan. Sorry, that was my impersonation of the Velociraptor in Jurassic Park 3.
Billy Raptor.
Billy Raptor. But
I will say, for as Lost World, Jurassic Park 2, for those who don't know, is a very polarizing movie.
Yeah.
Some people like cult classic it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people think it's like hot garbage. But I will say, like, that raptor's chase through the tall grass, that shit still holds up.
Oh, not to mention the opening of Lost World is nightmare fuel with the little dinos at the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, what? With the girl on the beat, the actress from like When a Stranger Calls when she was a young boy on the beat. Hell yeah! Like, cause you didn't see like what they did to her. You're like, wait, what happened to her?
And then you find out. when they show up later, that shit terrifying. Also,
I didn't realize that until like years later of like watching that movie.
This doesn't get enough, I think, hype around it, and maybe hype's the wrong word, but like from a nostalgia standpoint, we don't talk about how good some of the VHS covers were. Lost World's VHS cover was pretty dope. It had that like holographic thing on the front. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like it was
the silver like reflection oil. Tinfoil. No, exactly.
Like when you rub your nail across it, it has a texture that I literally can't describe as like anything else other than or it was the same thing as like, do you remember the little Pokemon square things where like you would turn it and you could see the evolution as you like turned it?
Oh, the holographic. Yeah. Oh shit, yo,
yes.
That what like especially like if they had like 3 evolutions, like halfway was like one way, and the full way with the third evolution.
That's
hell yeah, I remember that, bro.
So that's the exact.
That is what that felt like. It's like that. And it made like the same sound as like track pants.
Yeah.
Like
yes.
Like
when
you scraped it.
I literally did. The next time I see one like something like that, I'm gonna scratch it immediately when I see it. I don't even fucking care. No one's gonna stop me.
What an intro.
What an intro. So anyways, you are listening to Annie, Are You Okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
Thank you, Matt. We are back. Life got in the way last week. Death in the family, birthday celebrations, all sorts of random bullshit. But me and Matt are here, and
here, baby.
We're gonna dive through the news dump that was Star Wars Celebration and kind of give our like initial thoughts and hype levels on things. Yeah,
truckload of information.
We're not joined by a third head this week, but I think we're getting Siebes back for the 7th and 8th chapters of The Mandalorian, which we're going to do in one big
special
super episode for you. So get excited for that. We'll be recording that on Thursday after Mando comes out. Coming to you now on the day we usually put an episode out, so I'm a little flabbergasted and all over the place, but we got this going. So let's just start it off with the biggest news to come out of Celebration was the Ahsoka trailer. Some of the only footage we got, and
1000%.
Boy, was I hyped.
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about this on camera or off camera, because we talk about nerd shit quite a lot
all the time.
Consumes quite a bit of our conversations, both business and personally, professionally and personally. But we had talked about, it seems as if they're doing a retelling of the epilogue from Rebels, which I'm not mad at, because Ahsoka and Sabine are seen on that same platform on Lothal, but Sabine has long hair instead of shortcut, and Ahsoka's wearing like the gray cloak instead of the white outfit.
Yeah.
So, and we had also spoke about that. That kind of confirms it when we had said there was like rumors that like parts of Ahsoka were going to be like during the end of Rebels, like that leading up to the epilogue, and then other parts of it are going to be basically like the continuation that we've been waiting for. And even more of a furthered rumor that's kind of confirmed is that Ahsoka's episode from Mando season 2 was where she went when she after Ezra like saved her through the tower, and he was just like, yeah, like, come find me. We'll told Sabine there, like, come find me. We'll told Ahsoka, yeah, when he broke out of the tower, the temple, he was like, come find me. Like, part of her traveling to what world was that when they met?
The world between worlds. Oh, wait. Sorry.
Remember when Ahsoka showed up in Mando and she was like got into that duel with Shorty that had the best car spear.
The planet is escaping me and I feel like a failure right now, but it's
all good.
Kind of burned to a crisp, but yeah, the magistrate there is like one of Thrawn's peons, I guess, or pawns, if you will. Or I guess she's probably more of a bishop, let's be real. But she's torturing the people of that like town there, and Ahsoka is clearly trying to get information. Mando gets the Beskar spear at the end of things, which turns into a whole group of things for Mando. But we have that time period, I think you're right, is definitely taking place after the initial meeting where Sabine has long hair. I think that we're gonna like get. So
I had heard that it was earlier than that. I had heard. And this was all pre-trailer, so it could. Who knows? We haven't seen the show, but I had heard that it was theorized that episode where she and Din meet for the first time was like happening concurrently with like the finale of Rebels. It was like when she got out of the world between worlds, she went on a search to find him, and that was one of her stops, which would then have led to her having that final meeting with Sabine. Is how I had heard it. That it basically, season 2 was happening concurrently with the finale of Rebels, like when Ezra and when the fight for Lothal, that was happening like right along that time. Because for Ezra, I guess for Ahsoka, way more time passed because she escaped that world like in the past. Like, her and Ezra met, he was further up in time travel. People who didn't watch Rebels are probably like, what the fuck were they doing?
Definitely. I guess I should have. I'll throw like a little like spoiler warning in now. I guess I should have probably done that at the head of things like we discussed. But yeah, there's the world between worlds. Essentially is a place,
all time happening at once.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the people who enter the world between worlds, they see events that are close to them. So Ezra sees Ahsoka battling Vader in season 2 of Rebels, and he pulls her out of that situation. But it is also discussed in that episode that when they leave, they go back through the time that they came in. So Ahsoka leaving way earlier in the timeline actually kind of leads me to believe that she's trapped on Malachor for quite some time before she leaves. And then we also know that Mando takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
So from a timeline standpoint, that has to happen after the like final battle on Lothal, but it could technically happen before the epilogue, right? So she goes.
Ahsoka time traveled, so yeah.
She either time traveled or she was like sidelined.
Well, not time traveled, but when Ezra went back, he was further ahead than when Ahsoka went back.
Exactly.
So she would have popped back out back when Ezra still had long hair.
Yeah, which means, and if she was, then that's before the original trilogy too. So if that happens, how long is she stuck on Malachor, or where is she in the meantime? Will we learn about that? I hope so. It's a lot of time for her to be kind of like on her own. There are shots of her fighting an Inquisitor, and I think it's the Inquisitor from that episode of Rebels that we thought just like helicoptered off and fell to his death. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for him to be kicking around the galaxy and they have a climax at some point. But ultimately, it doesn't line up with the epilogue, and we know that they reshot the epilogue. So Natasha Lyonne Bordeaux, I think is how you say her last name. She does have the epilogue outfit with the short hair. Ahsoka must be contacting Sabine multiple times in between, is what I'm thinking. Is that like she like
Disney's good for trying to throw us off the trail?
Yeah,
trailers.
Seriously. So they are essentially like, I think, bait and switching us, and we're gonna see things from Sabine's perspective before she determines that she's ready to go look for Ezra again, and that's where we'll pick things up. And I mean, Disney, Star Wars specifically, they do a good job of putting a lot of the first half or the first couple episodes of the shows in the trailers, and leaving us completely guessing for
blind.
For the end. Like the stuff that's happening in Mando right now was not shown in trailers at all. At all. Like, I don't think any of us could have possibly guessed that this is what
it's probably like scenes from like the first 3 episodes were like in the teaser.
Yeah.
If that, probably like the first 2 episodes.
And then that word drop from the Plezier 15 episode where we thought it was Mandalore prior to all the wars and stuff like that. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were just fucking clickbaiting us. But
big facts.
Another big reveal from the trailer is Grand Admiral Thrawn, and this didn't happen until I think day 3 or 2 of Celebration. They announced that Lars Mikkelsen, the voice of Thrawn from Star Wars Rebels, will be reprising his role in live action. I
wonder if like the Sabine voice actor is like, son of a bitch.
I think she is. I think she's pissed. I think Tia Sircar really wanted to play Sabine in live action, and I don't blame her.
I mean, a lot of us did.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at the actress they chose.
No,
she looks like her, sounds like her. I'm rolling.
I think it's something that we're just going to have to get used to. And to be honest, like, Matt Lanter is a great Anakin. Hayden Christensen's a great Anakin.
Best facts.
Do I like one more than the other from time to time? Absolutely. I'll probably feel the same way about these guys. I've been saying it for a while that the actor who's playing Ezra, he's one really good performance away from kicking Ezra from number 2 on my list of top Star Wars characters to number 1. So
funny about that, because after we had spoke about him before, because I remember me and Siebes were kind of like, well, I had thought that the actor who played Aladdin, I believe his last name's Masood. I'm almost positive. His last name's right. I'll just call him Masood because it's one of his names. I just don't know which one. I had thought that he had got the gig because I remember like the last I had looked at it, like, and admittedly, it was probably like a year ago or maybe over the summer. Like he was like the lead candidate and it was like all but confirmed. But then I remember you told me like, no, he didn't get the job. And I had looked into it, and apparently there was like a big scandal around that. Because that was like a lie to the point that he was just like, yo, I was never even up for consideration. Like he said that Disney had like contacted him initially. Well, he had the way that he heard that he was like the prime candidate to get was the same way we did. Like when like reports were coming out, and he was just like, yo, they mentioned it to me once and never contacted me again. He was like actually kind of like to a point he feels like they kind of like
got him hyped for no reason. Yeah.
He was like, I feel like if anything, they kind of like dropped the ball, but I didn't want to like come out and shit on them. But now that people are, because a lot of people had the same reaction we had, like after they announced that everybody's like, wait, shit, I thought Masood was Ezra. This is a plot twist. And he was just like, he's kind of relieved that he's able to finally like say like, nah, bro, like they mentioned it to me and never hit me up ever again. And then I find out someone else got the job from Twitter. So he was like, yeah, it's kind of bummed out, but the I don't want to shit on Lucasfilms, but so I'll try to be PC, be like, I have nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah, because no one wants to burn their bridge with Star Wars if they want to work in Star Wars, which is fine.
He even threw in I would love to be a part of the Galaxies someday in a different capacity. hopefully, like,
hell yeah,
hopefully
dude.
that opportunity.
I'm there for it too.
there.
Make him a Mandalorian for all I care. They brought fucking Stinky Pete in from Breaking Bad, so
I feel like because there was such hype around it, and because he does like resemble Ezra, like you kind of have to put him in a role where he's not just like his face.
Yeah.
Or keep him and Ezra like super far away from each other. It'd be like how they had John and Rob Stark in the Eternals, like had to have that scene together.
Yeah.
Like they like had to, let's put them next to each other so people remember. You know, I'll always say, super crazy aside, I always say like that scene, like where Kit Harington, and I don't remember the actor who plays Rob Stark, what his real name is. It's in my brain somewhere. I feel like his name might be Rob something.
I think it is Rob, like with an M, and I can't. It's escaping me right now too.
Yeah. It'll like, I'm like, rah. But I feel like it was such a missed opportunity that like they should have gotten into some type of argument, and then like Rob's character should have been like, you know nothing. Like it was like
as a callback to Game of Thrones.
Such a missed opportunity. And I feel like that scene worked perfect because like they were talking about like mythical beings and shit, and like he should have just been like looked down like, you know nothing. Like, I was like, there I am.
We love the Rick meme here.
It's always a combination of the Rick / Leonardo. Fuck, that's his name in the movie.
It is his name in the movie. I got you with that shit every week. Every week.
I'm like, nah, bro, not that. It's the Leo meme.
And I'm like, yeah, Rick, played by Leo.
One day, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be with you.
That's all right. We're working our way there. The last thing I want to talk about on Ahsoka before we move on, because there's a lot more to cover.
Big fact.
These new dark side users, orange lightsabers, or like blood orange lightsabers. Really interesting.
They're hipster.
They are a little hipster. The female looks like she's a Padawan. Some people have been speculating, is this a dark Jedi? Like, we haven't really had that in canon yet. I'm really wondering, there's a lot of stuff, people speculating the world between worlds, or these people placed out of time. They've made a lot of... Dave Filoni has gone on record saying that the world between worlds is not meant to be a time travel device. Like, that's not its intention or for its creation and stuff like that. Yet we see its imagery pop up all over this trailer. In fact, the logo for Ahsoka is very reminiscent to the symbolism that we see coming from the world between worlds. Do you think these guys are antagonists who come from a different timeline? Do you think that they're in league with Thrawn? How do you think they play into the story? Because for me, they're the biggest question marks. And I don't want to say this, I don't think this is ironic in any way, shape, or form, but because there's so much mystery around them, my excitement level around them is probably the highest thing other than seeing Ezra in live action. So how do you feel?
Oh yeah. Especially because it seems like they're like the main antagonists for the show, so it's not just like a scene here and there with these new characters just kind of pique our interest. Like, nah, it's gonna revolve. The conflict will revolve around them. But I got Dark Jedi vibe too, because it's like their aesthetic is way too like, we've been around for a while for this to just be some like brand new faction. Like, they all got matching uniforms. They all seem very proficient in saber play. Like, it just seems like this isn't some like new group that spawned off of like Empire, like, we love the Empire still, why don't y'all? Like,
and I feel like if they were Sith, they would have talked about it a little bit, like during Celebration, and there's been no mention of who they're affiliated with.
Had like some markings or something,
that's
like
a good
this
point.
and the third. But yeah, I was thinking Dark Jedi too, because I'm like, it's like that, like the color is what got me the most. Like, like blood orange. I was like, is that like a tainted red kyber crystal that's like trying to go yellow, like to play the middle, but it's not. Like, so many questions. But that my first thing was Dark Jedi, and I love that guy, the actor. I forget what his name is. The who seems
I'll
to be like the boss
IMDb
of
it
that.
while you keep talking about it. I'll hook you up.
I feel like his name's Ray something.
I think you're right, because he's in Thor. So
yeah, he was in Thor, and he was either in Spartacus or Rome. I think it was Rome, but I really fucked with Rome back in the day.
Ray Stevenson,
I knew it
playing
was
Balin Skull, and his apprentice is Ivana Sanko playing Shin Hati, which apparently Skull and Hati were wolves in Norse mythology. Dave can't stay away. So.
Wolfman, Los Lobos. But yeah, I'm definitely Dark Jedi vibes. because like again, they seem way too established to be like this new group that's trying to like cause a rigmarole throughout the universe. But I'm super hyped.
All right, here's my
Ahsoka,
deep
like,
cut,
running
way
the
off the
temples and
wall prediction.
Give it to us.
Ezra will be affiliated with these guys because of his previous dabblings into the dark side.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. I could see them hitting us with another 52 fake on, like, something happens, like, maybe Ahsoka or Sabine, like, gets captured, and they're like, oh, we're gonna take you to our leader. They make you think Ray Stevenson's the boss, but then they, like, take you to, like, their base operations, and Ezra's, like, in charge. And, like, what the fuck, we've been looking for you, bro?
Yeah.
I can see that.
And the whole goal is to pull him back to the light. I would kind of fuck with that idea.
Or I could see that they're not even really, like, the bad guy. Like, it's on some, like they are with Ezra, and they are kind of like, vigilantes or whatever, and like there's like a different, like, Thrawn obviously is like waiting in the rings, but maybe they're like a anti-Thrawn squad, but Ahsoka don't know that, and they kind of like their methods are different, maybe more extreme than what she likes. But I could definitely see that. I actually fuck with that a lot, because that would explain, because that's always been like a big thing, and we've talked about this before, like the end of Rebels. It doesn't say it, but it kind of gives you this, like, at least for me, I kind of got the feeling like when Ezra did the his plan with the hyperspace whales to get him and thrown away, for some reason that read to me like he was like marooning them somewhere, like so that way Thrawn couldn't escape. Like he was like sacrificing himself, like, let me have these whales take us to like some abandoned planet past the outer rim, and we're both just stuck here. As long as he can't escape and like cause havoc, it's a sacrifice that I am
willing to make,
willing to make, especially with telling Sabine like, hey, to come find me, bro. Like so I always thought that. But then when Mandalorian happened and Ahsoka showed up and she was just like, oh, where's your boss, like where's Grand Admiral Thrawn? I was like, oh, Thrawn got away from wherever him and Ezra was at. So I've always just kind of been like, I don't see a world where Ezra's like had his faculties and like chose not to go back to his friends. And I know we've never seen like Hera in live action yet, but we got Zeb, we've gotten Ahsoka and whatnot, and we know that they, from inferences with Zeb kind of being with the New Republic and stuff as a pilot, we can see that they've like gone, not, I wouldn't say moved on.
They've gone their
like,
separate ways and they're doing their own things, but I think that there's
still with it in mind.
Yes.
Like Ezra's out there somewhere, but like like living life, paying bills, like living life. Like couldn't just put life on hold. But I always like felt like, oh, he must be stranded, and that's why he can't get back, and that's why I needed them to like find him. But like with Thrawn back on the board, and per trailer, unless it's another fake out, seems that he's like
a prisoner. Yeah.
Like it seems like he's like out and about. Like he's like got the suit on, the white coat and everything, and we only see the back of his head, but it seems like he's back in action.
Yeah, so what
Ezra?
What does that mean for Ezra? And I think that there are a lot of people who were definitely thinking, hey, does this mean, that Ezra's dead or in trouble or a prisoner, or did he join forces with Thrawn potentially? We don't know that. We don't know what they've been through in that time. I doubt it. I doubt Ezra would like join forces with him unless there was something specific, which there have been hints to in the new Thrawn books. They're called like the Grisk. They're very Yuuzhan Vong type creatures, and it's what's threatening the Chiss ascendancy, which is why Thrawn came to like the known galaxy in the first place. If Ezra perceives them to be a threat and he joins Thrawn to protect those people, I could see that being an impetus for him dabbling in the dark side again,
like reluctant allyship.
Yeah,
and it could kind of go into like what my theory was, like if it was a situation where he purposely like stranded them and they like needed to kind of rely on each other to survive, it was like I don't fuck with you and you the enemy, but it's like you saved me, I saved you.
Yeah, just
like,
kind of like how Zeb and Callus get stranded on the moon in Geonosis, and they have to work together.
Exactly. Or like I think for anybody who watched Supernatural, when Dean and Benny got stuck in purgatory and had to like work with each other to get out. Benny was a vampire, Dean was a demon hunter, so he was like, oh, I don't fuck with y'all, but they like survived through that. Or whatnot.
Well, I think we're going to do a whole episode around the Ahsoka trailer and talk way more in depth, but these are some of our first thoughts. So let's move on to the next big piece of news that came out of Star Wars Celebration. 3 new Star Wars movies.
Yeah, man.
And we'll go through each of them real quick, but I just gotta say off the top, what are the chances that these don't get canceled like the other movies have? How many Star Wars movies have been announced since the sequel trilogy ended that have actually come to fruition? And the answer is a lot. And the that have been announced, but any of them that have actually been made is 0. So
I would say I'm banking on all 3, but like if I had to like make a money bet, I would say 2 out of these 3 are 1,000% taking place.
That's what I'm thinking too. And to me, it's the Mandoverse climax because
and the Daisy Ridley.
Exactly. You do not bring back Daisy Ridley unless your script is practically done.
Especially like those of us who were and are super close to Star Wars, like we know what she went through post the sequel trilogy and like the backlash that she got, not really being able to get. She did do other movies to, try to like, break that image, but it's funny because shout outs to Movie Bob, DB4L podcast, and if you coming soon. But we had a conversation briefly about like the sequel trilogy, and I had made the point. I was like, Daisy Ridley is not what was wrong with the sequel trilogy. Like, if anything, she was one of the better parts.
100%. I loved the cast of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, the cast was wonderful. Everybody did their thing. The Benicio del Toro hacker thing was fucking random. Like the
waste of a good actor, in my opinion. But
yeah, like that whole. But I have thoughts on that movie in its whole. But Daisy Ridley was one of the better parts of that movie. So I'm super excited. It pisses me off because it's like a Kenobi-esque return to greatness for a character that we liked, but they made her a Palpatine. Because like I've been beating that drum for forever. They should have made her like a Kenobi. Like it could have been, everybody know, Ben was getting some Mandalorian ass behind the scenes. We all know he could have had a kid that had a kid. Like again, because I feel like, like when movies like make a plot and like the fan base is so smart that they kind of figure it out, and the movie like pivots to try to like shock us.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what that was. I feel like the plan for her was supposed to have her be a Kenobi, but if you remember, like right before The Last Jedi came out, like the script leaked. Like there was like a script that was out, and then Damage Control was like, "Oh, we put out a bunch of fake scripts. That's not the real one." I feel like that might have been the real script.
I know, right? With the fight of like all the Knights of Ren fighting Luke and whatever. Like I remember that.
And Rey being a Kenobi. Like I feel like if not the real script, then there were definitely parts of that. Because I remember like the Knights of Ren were supposed to be a really big part of The Last Jedi. Like that was always like the rumor, and then the script came out.
And then they sidelined hard.
Yeah,
didn't even appear
like,
in the movie.
We're gonna explore the background of the Knights of Ren and how Ben got to turn into Kylo. Like all that was like promised or leaked but I just remember when that movie was getting made, like, and you kept getting reports like plot leaks, and I was like, that is a loose-lipped set.
I honestly, I really do think that was at like Star Wars peak of like hype because everyone was so high on The Force Awakens. And so
that's one of my favorite Star Wars.
The amount of rumors that came out for The Last Jedi was more than any other Star Wars project I think that has ever happened.
No, 1,000%.
So whether Rian Johnson chose to pivot off of original ideas or not, I think we won't ever know until he confirms that himself. But yeah, it's
like 30 years from
wild.
now when they do like the 30th anniversary of the sequel trilogy.
I do know that they were making fun of that terrible YouTuber Mike Zero on set for a while. The guy who's always like, Kathleen Kennedy is gonna be fired, she's officially been ousted. And it's like, okay, it's been 10 years of you making these videos, are you done yet?
Still around, bro.
Yeah, she's still running the show. I don't know what you're talking about.
Still around.
Still making pretty good TV shows as far as I'm concerned.
but I'm happy. It's like I'm loving that they're like spinning the block on like all these, like, disgraced is a bad word, but like they did it to Hayden Christensen, they did it to Ahmad Best, they did it to Daisy Ridley. Like I feel like because John Boyega is so fucking charming, he kind of like avoided the hate.
Yeah.
And I feel like he jumped in front of the gun because he like openly bashed the movies after they came out. They was like, yeah, it's kind of fucked up that the minorities got sidelined.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Finn and Rose were a huge part, and we just kind of got pushed to the back. So I was like, he kind of beat, because people was like, damn, he's right, that did happen. He kind of like beat the backlash. Like he was pointing the finger at the movie before people could like start blaming him.
And you know what? That's coming from like, I don't think there's any Star Wars actor who's as big of a fan as John Boyega is.
I would agree.
So, like,
I would agree.
That's someone who worked on the project being just disappointed in knowing what quality Star Wars has potential to be and not living up to that kind of like expectation. So let's hope that the 15 years after the sequel trilogy movie with Daisy Ridley as Rey building the Jedi Order back is able to rope John Boyega back in, because I think it would be a huge missed opportunity.
Finn has to be, hasn't John Boyega like made comments that he would never do Star Wars again?
I think so,
like
but like,
it was like conditional, like I'll never do it again unless, like, type of situation. I can't remember.
I hope it's conditional, and then just meet his conditions, because he was such a good character. I think
Finn was great.
His potential was wasted. I've always said this about the sequel trilogy. My biggest criticism of it is, how do I go through 3 movies with these characters and feel like we're just getting started? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much more story to tell.
Yeah, because I can't remember, like, I remember the feeling of coming out of The Force Awakens and being like, Star Wars is back, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just remember, like, the feeling like, oh, I'm about to grow with these characters, like, and then, like, I'm on the side of the one people that, like, I'm not the biggest fan of The Last Jedi. Like, it was, to quote Joe, it was fine. Like, it was fine. Like, when I saw it in the movie theater, I think because it was part of, like, that moment me and Jordan went and shout out to Jordan. We saw it on opening day, so it was like I was part of the spectacle of it. So we was like, damn, that was great. But then, like, a month went by and we're like replaying the movie back, and we're like, was that John kind of not great?
I think it's funny. I think it has some of the best and some of the worst Star Wars in the same movie. Yeah. I love the Rey, Kylo, and Luke stuff, but the, like, just out of reach hyperspace no hyperspace chase, while Finn and
I fucked with that.
Rose,
I fucked with the chase.
Are, like, trying to, like, get
that whole casino planet was the
Canto Bite. Yeah, it was like, all right, we get it. You're trying to say that rich people are bad. We get it.
You know what's funny? I feel like the one thing that each sequel trilogy had in common, they all had one scene that felt super misplaced. Like, for me in The Force Awakens, the scene where them roly-poly monsters are chasing them through the Millennium Falcon, that felt like a Guardians of the Galaxy scene. Like, I was like, this don't feel like Star Wars, bro.
Yeah.
like, and then the casino planet for Last Jedi, I can't remember what it was in Rise of Skywalker.
When they're in the snake pit on the festival planet.
I like that. That was aesthetically pleasing. Like, I don't think it was that one. I'd have to, like, think back. Like, I haven't seen the I think I only saw the Rise of Skywalker in the theater. And I was like, I'm alright. I'm cool.
We'll have to watch it again soon and maybe be like,
I'm with that.
Let's revisit this and do an episode on it. So another big one, 25,000 years before the prequel trilogy, we're gonna have a movie centered around the first Jedi. This one is very interesting to me. They're going a little too far back in the timeline for my liking. I'd rather them do an Old Republic movie, if I'm being completely honest. But hey, this has potential to be really interesting, and it's being helmed and written by James Mangold, who just is finishing up his work on Indiana Jones. So obviously Lucasfilm has a great working relationship with him. Don't really know what to think about this, but I do think that it's exciting that we're getting 3 Star Wars movies in 3 completely different parts of the timeline.
Where's this movie at in place of like the Last Republic with, like, Darth Revan and all that?
Yeah, so it's before
it's before that.
Yeah, so this is like the first Jedi. So, like, on Ahch-To, how that's like the first Jedi temple, the sacred Jedi text or whatever. Like, this is centered around the people who created that.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like one of those things where it's like, it has potential to be good, but like it's such an undefined time period for Star Wars that it's like, show me why this is exciting, and then I'll buy in. And then the Mandoverse climax with Dave Filoni, they said it's projected to be about 7 years out, which is good because that means we're getting several more seasons of The Mandalorian, potentially another season of Book of Boba Fett if they choose to pick that back up, definitely more than one season of Ahsoka. Skeleton Crew's going to tie into that, and who knows, maybe some characters from Ahsoka will get spin-off shows in the meantime as well, all leading to a climax in the theaters, which is kind of what I always envisioned for this.
It's gonna be lit.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be the Avengers Endgame of Star Wars movies, if you think about it.
That's a wild, like a Endgame level Star Wars movie, like Goosebumps.
Yeah,
like that's gonna be like if they just like bring in everyone from like the Filoniverse, bro. What?
The binge for that is gonna be weeks long. That's a lot of hours of Star Wars to watch.
And I know that it hasn't been talked about. I mean, it's been talked about, but nothing official. Is like the Heir to the Empire Thrawn movie that's separate from this, right? The alleged Heir to the Empire.
Yeah. So I think that what they're doing is they're cherry picking pieces of Heir to the Empire and like throwing nuggets in for EU fans, but there's no official movie confirmed for that. I think we're going to see bits of it play out in the series, and maybe the quote unquote Heir to the Empire movie is what this is. So
Gotcha.
that is what the plan is, as far as that's my understanding. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm assuming Thrawn is going to be the big bad for this, and then whatever happens towards the end of that is probably going to lead into the sequel trilogy. We've already learned, in just this past week of The Mandalorian, how much of the Imperial Remnant is working on, like, quote-unquote Project Necromancy and stuff like that, so...
You want to hear something crazy? Speaking of the end of Mando, I don't know if you've seen this, but I can't even credit the YouTuber, so I'm sorry. If I see you next time we do a video, I'll credit you. But there was, like, this theory, because you know how... we won't go into it because we'll obviously talk about the review, but we know how episode 7 ends and everything. A lot of people were like making a big deal about the aesthetic of Moff Gideon's helmet because he has like the horns.
The Mandalorian
on top.
Yeah.
So I had seen like this fan theory that like going back to what we were saying in like episode 2 that we did, like, yo, is the armor the spy? Like, has she been the bad guy this whole time? Like, there was like this fan theory. Someone was saying like, what if the armorer is actually the same species as Maul, and that's why her helmet
has horns?
Yeah, gotcha. That's why her helmet has horns, and she's been like the op, because Maul and the Mando's kind of like took over Mandalore.
He very much did take over Mandalore.
Yeah. Not kind of. He took over Mandalore. So
he totally fucked them, but yeah, he took them over.
But even though like the Mandalorians, they weren't like the direct cause of his demise, but they definitely helped a lot. Like with that final fight, like before he got captured and everything and whatnot. And like she can't get at Obi-Wan. Like she's not about to try to go chase Lee. She don't know where he at. Like don't know. Well, it's like I saw like a theory that she's been playing the long game. Like she's been like in it, trying to kill him from the inside, like corrupt him from the inside and whatnot. I was like, I wouldn't be mad at that. I would kind of like lose my shit at her taking the helmet off
to reveal that she's Zabrak, or like the son or the daughter of Darth Maul, and being like,
some shit. You
guys didn't do what my father needed, and here we are. That would be really interesting. I like that theory.
I'd be
bring it up on the next episode of And You're Okay, a Star Wars podcast.
A Star Wars podcast. But real quick before we kind of go deeper into with the rest of the news, the one concern that I do have about the Rey Skywalker movie, I don't know if I'm too thrilled about it being 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker, because Daisy Ridley's not that old. Like I'm pretty sure I'm actually older than her. If not older than her, then we're like very similar in age. Yeah. So it's like, how are they gonna make her? I don't necessarily want to see Daisy Ridley with prosthetics if she's like the main character of the movie.
I think 30 is the new 20.
1000%. And
I'm not just saying that because I just turned 30.
No, I've been saying, look, 30 is the new 20. I'm just saying from an appearance wise, especially like when she came out on stage again, she looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. The movies only happened but so long ago. Like, I mean, I guess we don't know when this film's coming out, so it could in real time be like close to 15 years.
I think that's kind of the idea, is that like even if it's within a 5-year window of that quote unquote 15 years after Rise of Skywalker, we also need to keep in mind that those movies happen so close together in the timeline that like the events of Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker take place in literally less than 2 years. Yeah. So that's probably why So if you take it from Force Awakens came out in 2015, if this movie comes out in anywhere from 2026 to 2030, you're at about 15 years post when, she was Rey, nobody on Jakku.
Fucking time.
I know.
It
flies.
It feels like The Rise of Skywalker just came out like 3 years ago. like 3-4 years ago. I feel like I just saw. You know what it is, bro? Like, that era of COVID, that time like stood still and like crammed together so much. Like, it felt like 3 years worth of time and not 3 years of time.
Yeah.
Like it feels like, even though 2020 was like only like 3 years ago, it feels like 8 years worth of shit.
It was such a blur. In like some ways, you would think that like things being so boring and shut down for so long would make it feel like more time passed because we were so bored. But there's so much that happened in that time frame that it's just like, I don't know, man. History is going to remember that time period as that was the world between worlds. The fucking
that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like because that era was like so removed, I kind of like skip over it and go straight to when Rise of Skywalker was. So that's why time wise, it feels like it was way sooner. It's not as far back in time as it really is. I was like, oh shit, that was like mad long ago.
Pre-pandemic, man. It's wild.
Yeah, what was that? 17, 18? When did
2019
come on?
which is
2019,
just before the pandemic then.
Yeah.
Wild times, man.
Damn.
Wild times. All right, let's move on to another big announcement out of Star Wars Celebration. Tales of the Jedi Season 2 was announced. It was announced during the 15-year anniversary of the Clone Wars panel, so Dave didn't exactly go into details. It didn't have its own panel or anything, no trailer. One thing that I just want to ask you, and I feel like this is going to guide the discussion of the Tales of the Jedi Season 2 coming out, the whole dynamic from the first season was that Ahsoka and Count Dooku, while they took different paths around it, the similarities they had in terms of leaving the Jedi Order for specific reasons, and how that kind of like shaped their character, and they have a lot of similarities in that fashion. Who do you think Season 2 of Tales of the Jedi is going to focus on?
That's a really great question. Like a really, really, really great question. Because it's like, I'm trying to think, because I feel like Tales of the Jedi is going to be that. Like an anthology series about like a deep cut popular person. Like not necessarily like, like a Goku level, of, pop culture reference. Like, oh, even people who aren't fans of Star Wars know who Luke Skywalker is or Obi-Wan. But, Count Dooku and Ahsoka, they're like, oh, if they're popular enough that if I said the name, somebody like, oh, yeah, that wasn't I know, the orange girl.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like, no, she's one of our guys.
Yeah.
Like we love. So I feel like it would be like that level style of Jedi. And I don't know who's like left.
Can I pitch you an idea?
Yeah, no, please.
Two Jedi that both struggle with the dark side. I think it'd be really interesting to do Mace Windu and Kylo Ren.
So you going Mace? Ooh.
So we kind of learn more about Ben Solo, and then we also learn, how Mace is able to toe the line and stay on the light, but how Ben
Mace would be really
tried
good.
to toe the line and ended up falling. So I think that those could be two really good. And I'd love to kind of dive into a Jedi from a different time period than the prequel trilogy.
I'll match you.
Okay.
I'll match you. Oh, yeah, okay. Because, like, all right, Tales of the Jedi Season 1, like, it was definitely, like, Dooku and Ahsoka heavy, but, like, it was a lot of Qui-Gon through lines, obviously, because he was standing next to Dooku for a lot of that stuff. I would love Mace. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a perfect person to like, oh yeah, like super popular. We know about him, but do we really know about him? I think that and Yoda would be, because they're next to each other quite a bit, so there'd be a lot of intersecting storylines.
Very different characters. So yeah, you would like to tie the story in a little bit better, but see it from their perspectives individually.
Especially if we got to see like super early Yoda.
Like High Republic era Yoda? Okay.
Yeah, like maybe back when like Dooku was his apprentice as a young child and stuff. Like, yeah, like young boy Yoda, like in action. like on the front lines version of Yoda. Like seeing obviously, and Mace would be because then they could do like when Mace was first coming into the temple and Yoda was like training the younglings. They could like same way they were doing like with Qui-Gon and Dooku. You could have like that. Maybe Yoda could be maybe not necessarily Mace and Yoda be the two focus, and it could be like Mace and Mace and Ben, but like Yoda would be like what Qui-Gon was to Dooku's storyline.
Sure,
like a reoccurring
character.
Reoccurring character because he influenced a lot.
That'd be really interesting.
Give us like some insight. That'd be dope.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say about it other than continue to animate beautiful stories because the animation team has been incredible. And Dave Filoni did speak a little bit about how he's taking a back seat from the animation standpoint, but will continue to work on Tales of the Jedi and shepherding kind of like a new batch of creators that he's going to trust Lucasfilm Animation with to move forward. And I think that's awesome that he's like kind of like passing the torch officially and moving himself into live action, but being what George Lucas was to him for a lot of new creators that hopefully continue to make Star Wars animation stories for years and years to come. Speaking of Star Wars animation, we'll move on to...
Speaking of, I see what you did there with my vision.
I'm going a little off the what you're thinking here. We're going to talk about...
Take back my pun.
We're going to talk about Bad Batch Season 3 being the final season of Bad Batch.
I'm so excited.
This is announced. We did get a little bit of a synopsis of the teaser footage that was revealed. A lot of monsters and mayhem and a lot of Omega and Crosshair dynamics.
I'm so excited. Crosshair's my favorite.
Yeah,
character.
Crosshair is so
excited.
I mean, he felt extremely sidelined. Minus his. I will say this: for someone who is barely in season 2, the impact of the episodes that focus on him were polarizing. Not polarizing, just like jaw drop to the floor. I'm like,
no,
they were great episodes.
Always good. Like still to this day, emotionally from like a character development standpoint. When him and Hunter were having like that, when they had to like team up for a brief second, when I want to say it was when they were on Camino, and they were like getting ambushed, and he was like kind of helping, kind of not, and they were having like that one-on-one conversation, and basically like Hunter was like, you betrayed us, like we had to like, and Crosshair was just like, yo, like you left me, and they were all like, yo, you betrayed us, like we had to look out for the family, and he was just like, yo, I was your family too, like basically saying like you could have tried harder to get me to stay, like I tried to leave and you let me go, like you didn't like try to get
give
me
you the one thing you never gave me, a chance.
Bro, so it's like, bro, that scene, like when they're like in that turbine and then like Hunter escapes and he like the fact that he was stuck on that bitch for like 4 months, some shit. But like that scene from an emotional standpoint like wrecked me, bro. Like it was on some like Vegeta, and I kind of look at Crosshair as like a Vegeta-esque character.
I could definitely
like,
see comparisons.
Like so it's like just that scene, like yo, like I know Order 66 fucked up with my head and I was tripping for a little bit, but y'all was just real quick to give up on me, bro. And like that was the real reason why I stayed with the Empire, because I felt abandoned. Like y'all didn't like ride for the homie. So I'm super excited that him and Omega are gonna have like a reluctant friendship
powwow, heart to heart. I think Omega still loves him no matter what.
Oh yeah,
it's always she's always been the one to try and bridge the gap, especially in season 1. You see it happen quite a bit, but I think that they're all like, Crosshair's still one of us, and so when they find out at the end of season 2 that he's being held somewhere, they deem that mission worth the risk, and they pay the price,
even if it was a trap.
But
I could totally see a moment, whether it be like it would probably be towards the end, which actually will go to a question I want to ask you after I kind of set the stage. I could see a moment where there's like Crosshair and Omega, because they're like both captors, they like develop an understanding of each other. I could see like a redemption moment where like Omega's about to die and Crosshair like sacrifices himself, like die as a hero type of moment.
I hate to like write characters off like this, because time and time again they kind of prove that like you don't have to kill everybody off just because they're not in the original trilogy. But I do have a feeling.
Be my question.
I do have a feeling that most of the batch will not make it out.
I will be on the campaign trail. Please do not have a scene where the Batch seems to like be getting one over on what's the dickhead dude's name, the psychotic politician cloner guy who's there.
Oh,
who's
Dr.
like the bad
Hemlock.
guy now. Dr. Hemlock. I pray there's not a situation where like they have Hemlock right where he wants him, and then he like hits a button and Tech gets like lowered down in a cage and he's like still alive. Please just let Tech be dead. Like that death was super meaningful. It like storyline wise, it was like right on the nose. It did everything it was supposed to do. Like we've talked about how, particularly with recent Star Wars, because we either like directly know the fate of a lot of these people, or B, if they did survive, you better have a really great explanation as to why they weren't involved. So it's like it leaves us in this weird state of like there aren't any stakes. Like it's giving me like real Marvel. No one dies in the MCU. Like it's like because we have infinite universes, we just go pluck somebody, another one of you, and put you here.
There are infinite galaxies. Why would we be the anomaly?
Why would we be the anomaly? So it's like I pray they don't pull a. Oh, you think you got one? Well, what if we show you this? like he's been in a cage in the basement this whole time as like a trump card.
As someone who misses Tech, I just won't be mad about it. But I'll let you be mad about it. It's fine.
I bet you would. I'm like it robs us of that moment.
No, I hear you. I'm being selfish.
No, that's fine. I understand. And then it like to kind of be on your side but against your side all at the same time. It helps you not have to figure out why. It helps you not have to come up with a reason how these guys survived but didn't get involved.
Sure.
Like it's one less member to be like, all right, yeah, you got through, but where have you been this whole time?
I hear you, and I don't disagree from a story standpoint. It would probably make the most sense. It's like there are so many reasons why I would love for, Kanan to have walked away from Rebels, like just like Ezra did. Like somehow they're sidelined and not a part of it. But some sacrifices propel our other favorite characters forward, and that one certainly did that. I just love them so much. So I'm like, if they come back, I'm just gonna. You know what the thing is I think they brought Maul back in such a meaningful way, even though it was like as an antagonist, that I'm just not gonna be like, this is cheap, because I've seen someone be brought back from the dead and have had such an impact on things in a way that I think is insanely positive for the story. Yeah. So I guess I'm not going to write it off. If that's how they choose to do it, then I'm going to trust them to do it. It's not going to be a somehow Palpatine returned. Well, actually, it could be a somehow Palpatine returned. It could be the exact reason how Palpatine returns, for all we know. You know what I mean?
But in defense of them bringing back Maul, they gave us a character that we've never seen before in a movie. So it's just like, we were like, fuck, that's all we get of him? But it's just like all these other characters are in shows, so we've spent
a lot of time with people. Tech, yeah.
Like, it's okay. You can let him we can let him go now, but
we can reluctantly let him go, sure.
Yeah, like Maul with the double saber and the horns and the contacts.
Yeah, we didn't get enough.
Like
we didn't get enough.
An hour and 25 minutes. It's like, damn, wish we could have got more of that guy.
Dog, we got his screen time of Maul in The Phantom Menace, I think, is like less than 20 minutes, I think.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
And he has 2 lines of dialogue the entire movie.
Facts. Tatooine is vastly popular.
Yeah. At last we will have our revenge. At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. That's it. We just covered all of covered all the dialogue.
Every last bit. And a nice little when he got cut in half, you know.
Yeah. Before he falls in 2 pieces.
A little. And I always find that scene funny, like when he gets cut in half. It's like a cloud of blood, like a little puff of like dust comes up.
Yeah.
Like if you ever go back and watch them when he gets sliced.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's not like blood splatter. It's like a little puff of red cloud like blood. I don't know, and I never knew what the fuck that
More puffs of cloud blood in Star Wars. Right, I do. I have a personal question for you, real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you own glasses?
I do.
Will you wear them when you watch Star Wars Visions?
What a transition.
Oh, I do now. I do what I can.
I will now.
Yeah, I felt bad for messing you up before, so I had to set this up in at least
I love it.
a somewhat comedic way for you.
Damn, you risked a lot on that joke, because if I didn't wear glasses, there goes your bit.
That's my secret cap. I knew Matt wore glasses.
There you go, my man.
That's what happens when you record Kenobi at like 3 a.m. with somebody.
What a segue. Oh, facts. Super facts. I wasn't digging in my contacts lens box for that shit.
Nah. So, Star Wars Visions Volume 2. This one was... I don't know if they had announced this prior, but it's the next Star Wars project coming out. It's releasing May 4th, so May the 4th be with you. Star Wars Visions Volume 2 will be coming out. Several projects from different animation studios.
Like this
May 4th.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So look forward to episodes from that. We'll be bringing in Trav from DB4L Pod because he's a huge anime fan. We'll talk about Visions Volume 1 with him, and then we will talk about Visions Volume 2. Right now, we talked about this prior to recording, but Matt, I'm going to go through each one, give you kind of like something that they've done, a very notable thing. If it's not a notable thing, it's just a small description of the studio, and I want you to give me your predictions from I have no fucking clue to my hype level is at like 10. So
can I all right, so can I add something to it?
Yeah.
If I don't have an opinion, do you know which studio is doing which
I do.
thing, like from the trailer? All right, perfect. All right, cool. That'll help me make an informed decision.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
Okay.
All right, let's get it.
All right. Okay, so the first one we have up is Journey to the Dark Head by Studio Mir, and it is about the first prehistoric Jedi Sith war, and it's done by the same animation studio that did Legend of Korra, so Last Airbender, Legend of Korra. Hype level.
I love season 2 of Airbender. Was that? I'm trying to think of the ones from the trailer. Was that the one where it was just like kind of like indigenous Jedi? Am I imagining them?
No, you're not making that up. But it's
okay.
It's not that one. There's a white-haired Jedi with a blue saber, and it's like the most probably anime-looking episode. I'm sorry, new anime looking, because there's a very old style anime looking animation coming out.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Well, I mean, if by prehistoric there will be like types of like galaxy dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. So if that's the vibe, if they'll pop up, I would say hype level like 8. If there ain't no dinosaurs, it might drop to like a 5.
Okay, all right.
But I do like anime and Star Wars is fire. So all right, so no dinosaur anime. We'll say 7. Dinosaurs in anime and Star Wars, we'll say like 8.5.
Okay, sounds good. For me, that's probably my most anticipated. I love Legend of Korra, so I know the animation team absolutely destroys it, so I'm very excited for that one. But we'll move on to the next one. I Am Your Mother by Aardman, directed by Magdalena Osen. I cannot say that, so I apologize, but this is the same animation studio that did Chicken Run and Wallace and Gromit. What's your hype level?
11 times. I fucking loved Wallace and Gromit growing up, bro. Like, loved it. I would go as far as to say that they're like a big reason as to why I like bread and butter, because they just made that shit look so good. And they had little muffins with the butter on it, bro, like, or the crackers with cheese. Man, I'm super excited for that one.
All right,
like that claymation's my shit. Like Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit, fucking Nightmare Before Christmas,
and like it lends to like Star Wars can be really funny sometimes, and I'm just like, yeah, give me some comedy. Like I'm fine with that. And this is definitely stepping outside of the Volume 1 was very anime inspired, so there are still anime type episodes in this, but this is a different animation studio, so I'm very excited about that one. Sith by El Guri Studios. It's so pretty much it was helmed by someone who's done a bunch of Pixar projects. I mean, I feel like because it's Pixar, it's probably going to be good. It's not Pixar like specifically, but they've done a lot of work with the Pixar team on Pixar related projects like Incredibles and stuff like that. So not sure if it's, you know how they always have really unique credit sequences or sometimes shorts that are done in a slightly different animation style. I feel like that's what this studio did.
Okay. Is it Pixar looking like that 3D?
It's cartoon. Not. It's
okay.
It's more cartoon.
Gotcha. So you saying maybe not how it's drawn, but like tonally, it's kind of like that Clone Wars mini series that they did that like led right up into the Revenge of the Sith.
It's funny that you mention that because there's one that
I loved that
is very similar to that down the list here. But
okay.
But this one's revolving around the Sith specifically. So
which one's that? Do you remember what scenes in the trailer that were?
That is having this list here without having this stuff right in front of me, I think is what's making it the most difficult. But I do think it's the like title sequence where the guy, it's a 3D animation.
I'm dead ass about to pull it up. Star Wars Visions. But what were you saying? You said you think it's the one that's
I think it's actually a 3D animation one where the Sith comes through with the red lightsaber at the beginning, and then there's someone at the end of the hallway pulls out the katana with the yellow saber. That one looks dope.
Yep. Yeah, no, this is like Pixar looking. Like,
yeah.
She looks like the mom from Brave, the girl Jedi or Sith, whatever she is. But I know exactly which one you're talking about now. I feel like that was the one that got like the most screen time.
It did get a lot.
Preview-wise,
yeah.
That one was in there like a whole bunch. But no, I would say, because it's Pixar looking, I'll go 10 with that one, because I feel like those fights are going to be crazy.
That's what I'm hoping for. I want.
What was that? What did that studio do? Like, what other things did they do?
I know that it mentioned that they had done some work on Incredibles, Cars, and a couple other Pixar projects that are escaping me at the moment. But nothing.
I'm gonna go 10.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 10 with that one. Then, that saber fight's probably gonna be crazy.
Yeah. The next one I have on the list is Screecher's Reach, and their best known project that we are aware of is We Bare Bears from Cartoon Network.
Oh,
so
is that the Panda Bears?
Yeah, it's the three bears, and so I haven't watched that show a ton, but I've definitely seen clips of it, and I like the animation. They are very versatile in their animation, but their characters all have a lot of charm. So I think that one's going to be interesting. I think it's probably one of the ones that
I know exactly what show you're talking.
If you watched the first volume of Visions, there's that Astro Boy one that's very it's more like wondrous and not as serious as the rest of them. I feel like that's probably the vibe that it's going to have.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. I like that
yeah.
one. I like that. I know it was more mature, but stylistically, the one with the twins looked kind of Astro Boyish.
Yeah.
Like just drawing style. Storyline wise, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like the drawing style. That was probably my favorite one. The one with the twins was probably.
I was gonna say I've very strong opinions about that specific one, but I'll hold that for our volumes 1 review.
I'm rolling.
The next one I have on the list is Into Stars by Punk Robot. They're a Latin American animation studio. Couldn't find anything that I really knew about them. Their animation style is very. Did you ever watch the amazing Adventures of Gumball?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, they're
Ragga.
It looks like you could take a bunch of their different animation projects and throw it into a show, and it would be like Gumball. That's how their animation reminded.
I was thinking of Chowder when I said Ragga before, people try to. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know Darwin and Gumball.
Yeah, nah, Gumball. That's a sleeper show. That's a great show.
Hype level on that one. It could be weird, could be good. Who knows?
Yeah. That's a TBD.
The next one on the list is Owl's Song by Triggerfish. They're best known for Kizaza Moto, which is a Disney property that I guess released recently, but I'm not familiar with it. So I wish I could give you more of a description on what it looks like, but I do not have it for you. So I guess that's probably another TBD.
It's all good. Right. I'm trying to look at the pictures of each one, so I could be like, oh, okay, yeah, this one.
All right,
is that the Native American ones?
It might be. That might be.
Cool.
So it is that one. It is the Native American.
All right, so then that was the one stylistically that caught my eye the most.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give that a 9 because I have no idea what the story's about, but I just really liked how it looked.
Yeah. So the next one,
traditional feel.
The next one after that, I know what you're saying. It looks like they're made out of wood almost. I feel like.
Yeah, I fucked with it.
This one I'm very excited for. The Pit. It's done in conjunction with D'Art Stagio Studio and Lucasfilm. It was directed and executive produced by Leandre Thomas, who's worked on tons of Star Wars animation projects. But the cool thing about this studio is that it's a black-owned studio, someone who came from the States, went to Korea to learn more about animation, and this animation studio is based in Japan, and that's the one where it's like very old Ghost in the Shell looking animation, but with a bunch of black characters. And I think we make a big push on, or we talked about it during Black History Month of anime, and it's like the emergence of black anime characters finally coming like up more and more often, and because the black community is huge into anime, that's kind of why Dragon Ball for Life like really started, was we wanted to talk about that and get more exposure and representation behind this huge culture who's huge anime fans. I love that. Like, it almost feels in some weird way like I'm really championing this one, because I feel like it's an amalgamation of everything Matt and I have been trying to champion for
especially like on the back end of the my best getting his flowers now, so it just kind of seems like a prolonged W. It's like, all right, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So that one's really exciting.
And then even in a weird way with Reva from Kenobi, Moses, I forget what her
Moses Ingram,
was. Yeah, Moses, like having her having like a prominent role, and being a black Sith, and then flowing into my best, getting like his redemption arc, and then now this is like, oh yeah, let's go. No, this is gonna be super exciting. So really looking forward to that one. The next one on the list, The Spy Dancer by Studio Lakchet. They are working with Genndy Tartakovsky's, the team that worked on Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal. Genndy Tartakovsky did the micro series for the Clone Wars, in addition to Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls. Like, this studio I think has only worked on Primal with him, but Genndy has a very specific style, so it's like these animation studios kind of have adapted some of those elements, and it's kind of that's why you said it was funny that I brought up the
exactly
Clone Wars micro series.
Exactly. So based off that, definitely going to be good and beautiful like action sequences, or if anything, like just the movement is going to look visually stunning and kind of over the top.
Might I just throw in about the Clone Wars micro series? I don't remember if it was like, because I remember they were like 10 minute episodes, if that. I can't remember if they were like once a week or like once a night, like, but I remember like that rollout was so perfect, because like the last episode, damn, they don't do shit like this anymore. The last episode of that micro series, when Palpatine gets kidnapped, literally flows right into the beginning of episode 3. Yeah, and I remember watching it, and then I saw like the movie on opening night, so it was just like, I didn't have that. How the fuck did they kidnap Palpatine? Like, even though we all know.
Well, it's kind of like, so the first volume of the micro series was 5-minute shorts that came out like once a week, and then the second volume was 15-minute episodes that all led right into Revenge of the Sith. So it was kind of like having the opening crawl be animated.
Yeah, and it was so crazy. Like, it was literally, cause I just remember, because at that point in time, you're just kind of a fan. You're not like a super fan or a smart, so to say. It's like, so you just watch the content. You don't know like the politics or the behind the scenes or the planning, or like the internet was around and big, but we wasn't like Google searching like, all right, this comes out this day, release date this day, that what's the spoilers and plot. Like, we just tuned in when we were told to tune in and just let it rock. So I would just remember like watching like, oh yeah, this is cool, these little shorts in between TV shows that I like it's dope. And then I remember just watching him I remember that shot of him like getting taken away in the spaceship, and he's like in the back window like Palpatine like, oh, save me, like type shit. I just remember that, and then I went and saw the movie like that day. I think I saw the movie, and I was like, oh shit, this is literally right after the cartoon.
There's a reason why I like the clones so much, and a lot of that love comes from that series. Before the CGI series obviously cements it, and they do a great job of fleshing out the clones, but like certifying them as like bona fide badasses, the micro series was the perfect thing for that. It was great to see like how cool they were in that form. So yeah, looking forward to the Pit, or not the Pit, I'm sorry, the Spy Dancer. The Pit is the other one that we were just talking about. And then the final one we have here is the Bandits of Golak, and this is done by an Indian 3D animation studio. Theirs looks very Clone Wars inspired, just in the sense of like the textures on like the 3D models look like they're paint strokes. I think it looks great. They're introducing an Indian Inquisitor who has very much like an evil mustache looking vibe, and he was described by the director as being or is thinking that he's funny. Like, so it's an Inquisitor who's like kind of like he's sinister, but he like thinks he's, you know, comedic, which I think is something.
Yeah, jokes. I like that.
I think that's great. And this is another thing where it's like, I haven't watched it yet, but people have been specifically friends of mine. Well, Siebes is one of them, obviously, and then Paul Casano, friend of the podcast. Shout out to Paul and Siebes. They've been like, you got to watch RRR. You got to watch RRR, and I feel like,
bro, I'm sorry if that made our sound levels pop. We'll fix it in post. That movie is fucking amazing, bro.
I feel like Bollywood is kind of like slowly emerging here. So to have an Indian studio be working on this is very exciting.
That movie is so, like, the power of word of mouth is so crazy, because it's like, or I always find it so funny, like how we all live the same life. Like, it's times like this that make me think this shit might be a simulation, because it's like, when you do shit that's like so off kilter and random, and then you come to find out that's what everybody did too, like, without being like told to do so. It's like, how did we all choose to do that? It's just like, it's so crazy. Like, I had posted this reel on Instagram a couple days ago, and it was just like me in the school auditorium, and there was a kid like plugging their eardrums and like letting them in and out and in and out, so like the sound would go like, whoa. Yo, I did that shit all the time. And like seeing somebody do that shit in a video, I was like, yo, we all did this. I thought that was just me. But yo, RRR is that shit. I don't know what made me want to watch it. I think I had seen somebody like reference it in like such a super obscure post. And I fuck with Bollywood shit, because Life of Pi, I know that's not a Bollywood movie, probably one of my favorite movies, but Bollywood shit's always been fire to me. And I remember I like put on the trailer, you know, when you hover over it on Netflix, it shows like a little bit of it, and I was like, oh, this shit look intense. So I like clicked it, and it's like 3.5 hours, and I was like, better buckle up. No need to buckle up. That shit is, from start to finish, that shit is a hit, bro. Like,
I've heard it's amazing. I'm glad that you know, I think it's easy as Americans.
I had no idea that's where you were gonna go with that, but I'm so excited you did.
I know it's easy as Americans to like be like, oh yeah, Star Wars is huge here, and like, what's the cultural significance of this, like, outside of it? And it's like, yeah, it's impacting everyone around the world because they're great stories. So to see Indian animators take a stab at this is just exciting. And the same with all these studios, like the Latin American studio, you know, obviously these other ones coming from different Asian countries is super interesting to see. I think, like, honestly, if you ask a lot of people, anime is like the perfect medium for Star Wars, so I'm a little shocked that they haven't done one yet. But this is a great like foray and taste like into what this is. So very excited for Volume 2.
It's probably a temp check. It's probably
it definitely is a temp check.
Between Visions 1 and Vision 2, they're trying to see like, all right, let's purposely throw some anime style episodes in here and see where they rank on people's favorite list.
I think like, it lends itself to Star Wars. So let's hope that it turns into a series down the line. Final piece of news. While we're here,
watch RRR when you get a moment.
I will. People have been begging me. They're like, just check it out, you'll love it. And I'm like,
it's so good.
Well, how do I do that and rewatch Star Wars for the umpteenth time?
Do that the next day.
Yeah, right. So, last bit of news coming out of Star Wars Celebration. There's a lot of hubbub around this for good reason. Star Wars Acolyte, the live action show taking place during the High Republic era, something that we didn't know but are very excited about. It is being told from the villain's perspective, and so the Jedi are the antagonists of this series. I love that. I know you love it, Matt. We could please go into depth on how you feel about it, but one quick thing before you do. Are the antagonists the Sith? Is it like the Rule of Two as the High Republic era is like, or are they somebody else? So I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about it. But yeah, this is definitely one of those things where it's not coming out this year, likely 2024, 2025 release, but I'm very excited. It sounds like the people who are working on it, which, by the way, the cast is stacked.
Yeah, fact.
The cast is stacked. I'm excited.
I was gonna say to your question, like, because I was thinking the same thing, like, oh, is it the Rule of Two? Like, does this show why the Rule of Two became a thing? Maybe it wasn't always the Rule of Two, but too many cooks in the kitchen. Because I thought the same thing, like when they announced the cast, I was just like, my assumption is a lot of the people that they introduced, a bunch of them were like the protagonists / villains. Like a bunch of like the of them were speaking on behalf of like, oh yeah, like we're telling the story. Because I remember the girl who was on she's basically like one of the stars of the show. She was on another show like as a child. Like I think she was Rue off of fucking Hunger Games. I think it's the same actress. I'm almost positive.
I'll double check for you while you go off.
If it's not her, she looks eerily similar to her. But I thought that the cast that spoke on her, she was the one that was dressed as Padme. Was she Rue off of Hunger Games?
Let's find out.
Yeah, the one that was dressed as...
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it. She was dressed as Padme from Clone Wars in her outfit, which I thought was super duper fire. But like her and a bunch of the other people on stage, when they were kind of talking about their role, it seemed like they were from the protagonist / villain side. So I was just like, yeah, like wonder how this does play into... Are they the Sith? Are they Sith sympathizers along with the Sith? But to go back to the original point, I'm super excited about this because we've talked about this off camera, off mic and off camera. Episode 3 is probably my favorite Star Wars of all time. My man. Not only because, you know, I sling Battle of Heroes more than Duel of Fates.
Same.
That's just me. My man. And then it's just like, Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably... I'd have to really think about it, but my knee-jerk answer is Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite character in all of Star Wars. Like, if just quick answer off the top of my head. Like, if I dug deep, it might be someone else, but I'm pretty sure it would still probably be him. But I've never been, like, a Jedi sympathizer. Because it's, like, not to get, in a religious bag, but it, like, has mad Christianity undertones that I dealt with a lot of bullshit in my teen years with, like, super-duper overtly, like... I'm bunny quoting the word religious. Like it was a lot of fucked up people who hid behind religion to justify some fucked up shit.
The pragmatic dogma view of the Christians.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The narrow-minded dogmatic view of the Jedi. Yeah, so episode 3 I feel like really highlighted the Jedi's hubris, and it really like showed like it wasn't necessarily that the Sith outsmarted y'all, which Sheev did, shout outs to him, but it's like y'all's heads were so far up y'all ass for years that y'all let this happen underneath your nose. Even episode 1 they couldn't like grasp the concept that the Sith was back. Like when Qui-Gon was like, red lightsaber, black robes, force user, looks like a duck. And they was just like, nah man, we wiped out the Sith years. There ain't been a Sith in a millennium.
That's what happens when you fart into wine glasses and sniff it.
Yes. What an analogy. So it's just like, I loved how episode 3 didn't let everything be like black and white or light and dark, you know, Sith Jedi. Like it showed obviously, you know, Palpatine was the master manipulator and pulling the strings, but it made it very obvious, like, oh, had the Jedi just listened to one another, probably could have prevented all that. Then it goes into a conversation about, you know, the Chosen One and fate, and this was preordained to happen, and blah, 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 blah. But from just like a take out the prophecy out of it, had the Jedi just sat and had a conversation, like, all right, yo, bro, some shit's going on. Like, let's talk about this. You been feeling some shit? I've been feeling some shit. What you been feeling? Oh, I've been feeling this. Oh, our two pieces equal one thing. Like, and they've been kind of talking about it. Oh, wait. Oh, no. I'll bring it up in the breakdown for Mando. Never mind.
Tune in later this week or next week.
Yeah. Just remind me to be like, oh, what was the point that you were about to make? Like, it basically has to do with, like, a rebellion's happening under people's noses.
Yeah.
Like, basically. So it's just like, I'm super hyped to see like prime prick Jedi, like proper douchebaggy Jedi who are just walking around with this holier than thou attitude. Like I'm looking forward to seeing, like, because like this could potentially be on some like damn, Thanos was right type time. Like, it could really show that maybe the Sith weren't the assholes this whole time. Like, it could be on some Schindler's List. Like, damn, maybe the Sith were treated like the Jews. Like, maybe they were treated like the Eldians off Attack on Titan. Like, maybe that's why they was just like, yo, fuck the Jedi. Like, they're assholes, though. Like, so I'm super excited for the show. Like,
it could be really,
so
really
excited.
interesting. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. I was a little upset that we didn't get a trailer, but hey, they're working on things. They're polishing it. I'm 100% of the thinking, like, don't rush out a trailer if you're trying to make it like feel right, keep the vibe right, and also not reveal too much so that we're not, ripping this thing apart before it even comes out, especially when there's a lot of time in between.
I'm excited.
That is all the big news stories. There's a few things I'm just going to mention real quick that we'll probably cover as they come out. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is around the corner. I will definitely be playing that. We'll probably give it a couple weeks, maybe even a month, so that people can get around to doing it. I know that everyone's busy. Obviously, we're busy as well, so we have to find time to play through it just to talk about it. But looking forward to that. There was a huge trailer reception for that. The final story trailer looked dope as fuck, and we found out that you can make Cal have a mullet and a beard. So
Yeah,
it should be fun.
I love how they've been keeping like the blaster gameplay like hidden.
Yeah,
like because I know that's going to be like a big part.
Yeah,
and I meant to say that when we were talking about the announcement of Thrawn. Kudos to Lucasfilms for keeping that under wraps.
Oh yeah.
That literally was like we all like were fan casting him when it got like mentioned, but I thought that Jude Law was going to be Thrawn, but then it came out that he was going to be a Skeleton Key, and then I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, what about Robert Downey Jr.? His sarcasm would be great," and I wouldn't have been mad at that.
Yeah,
but it's just like there was no report of, "Oh, hey, he could be coming back."
I'm really glad that you brought up Skeleton Crew because they just announced like the cast for it, and it's supposed to be very like Goonies inspired,
which sounds super
which is very exciting. But like, there's not much else we know about it.
There's
not much else we know about it at this point in time. So, 80s babies, get ready for your Star Wars. Hopefully we can watch this.
It's
with
our time.
Our kids.
It's our time down here.
Hopefully,
it's my fucking movie.
We can watch it with our kids, our nieces, nephews, whatever. I think it's gonna be definitely something that's going to be fun, and it's supposed to tie into the Mandoverse at large. So we'll see how that works out, and how Jude Law cares for his little younglings on his ship.
I'm in the Misfits toys. Do we know when in this timeline that's supposed to be taking place?
Same as the Mando timeline, but not probably not as early as like Mando season 1. So
got it.
We'll see where it fits in once it starts to come out, or once we get some more information about it. But I have been.
We're going to get Teen Djarin instead of Din Djarin.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Teen Djarin takes place during Rebels, which would be interesting if we explored. I was about to say it'd be interesting if we explored that more, but literally the most developed portion of the timeline is in between episodes 3 and 4. There's a lot going on there.
1000%. Super fleshed out, to say the least.
Yeah, so maybe we should step away from that for a little while as time goes on.
That's totally fine with me.
But anyways, you've been listening to And Are You Okay? A Star Wars podcast.
A Star Wars podcast.
I have been your host, Mikey, with my brother Matt here. Matt, tell them where they can find you, and plug anything you want to plug. Cospalooza, sure. Wink, wink.
I didn't say it at the beginning, so I'm not Rogue One checking in. I'm Rogue One checking out. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mr. Matthew Porter, aka Matty Ice. You can find me all the same places you can find Mikey. DB4L_pod on Twitter and Instagram. I'm _menace2 sobriety. That's the number 2, not spelled out. On IG from my personal page. And Cospalooza. It's this week, depending on when you listen to this. April 22nd. So if anybody backlogs us, don't show up.
Yeah, we will not be there.
If it's June of 2024, this happened a while ago. Don't show up. But if you're in the current time of April 17th of 2023, this Saturday, April 22nd, at Milk Boy, the Chestnut Street location, not the one on South Street, we are having a cosplay-inspired party. Costumes are optional, and you do not have to come as an anime or manga character. Any fictional character from a book, from a comic book. I keep making the reoccurring joke, if you want to wear a ball cap and a white tee and say family and say that you're Dominic Toretto, please feel free to do so. But we'll be there. I'll be there. Super producer Mikey will be there. Yali, all caps, Troto Trav. We will all be there having a ball. There's going to be prizes, a picture wall, fun little trinkets that y'all can take home, and alcohol. You know, what more can you want? And some dope people in some dope cosplay costumes, because, you know, we get busy in Philly. So pull up April 22nd. Bow.
Well, that has been it for us, and we will see you next time on Annie, Are You Okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
Thank you.